in this context, what is the legal basis for saying I choose not to respond to this question?
Yes.
And I have not heard a direct answer from
Yes.
you.
Well,
I get and I accept your point about the effect may actually be the same. Sometimes it may actually even be worse to lose your employment. I get that. So just as a matter of law, then what would the basis be?
Well, as a matter of law, there might be zero basis, Chair. But as a matter of real life, whether you expose yourself to in other words, Chair, all I'm saying to you, Chair, is in real life, whether I'm exposing myself to some policeman coming into my house on Monday, or some supervisor at work coming to my office on Monday, in real life, that's the same thing. In law and in the philosophies of criminal law and criminal procedure, there's a big difference. That's why there's a difference between Section 35 and Section 34 of the Constitution, because they address different situations. But those are niceties of professorial rectitude.
Perhaps something that we must place on record, so that I'm sure you are aware of it, Mr. Mpofu, but the General should also be aware of it. General, there's also, I think it's Section 6 of the Commissions Act. It's Section 6 of the Commissions Act. The Act itself, yes, which requires of witnesses to answer questions satisfactorily, fully and satisfactorily. If there is no legal basis, and in this instance I'm not aware of any, I'm not saying there's none, but as presently advised, I'm not aware of any. So I thought, in fairness to you, I should bring the provisions of Section 6 to your attention. And they go so far, it's not just requiring answering fully and satisfactorily. It's this failure to do so is on pain of facing criminal proceedings. So I thought I should just bring that to your attention. Not only you, but in case others who are listening and who may come to testify before the Commission, and who also happen to have disciplinary proceedings pending, may think if we do not raise this, then it's the way out for everyone. I have disciplinary proceedings pending, and therefore I am not going to respond to this question. I do take Mr. Mpofu's point about issues that are or are not within or the terms of reference of the Commission. Where an issue is raised around that, we can engage before, of course, as Commissioner Baloyi said, we as the commissioners take a decision, because it falls upon us to do so. We can, of course, engage counsel where there is counsel, or the witness themselves where the witness is not represented.
Specific witness and what he said in the morning, but I accept it.
Yes. No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mpofu. Yes, Mr.
Thank you, Chair. A number of issues have been raised. I'll start with the simplest. When we started, we dealt with the seizure of the drugs at the harbour. And we were to go to their entry into the SAP 13 register at Isipingo. A suggestion was made that the General accepts every concession made by those who were responsible for that seizure. And I needed to clarify that with the General, and he so confirmed. I accepted that on the basis that he was not present. He cannot comment on what went down. He will live with the concessions made. I then shifted to Port Shepstone, where he was present now. These are two different scenarios. And it cannot be that he cannot be questioned about flouting of prescriptions in his presence. He was aware. It is different for what happened at the harbor, what happened at Isipingo, because he was not present. And that distinction is an important one to hold. The conversation we have had over the past so many minutes is about his presence at Port Shepstone, his approvals at, maybe not approvals, but his failure to act when prescripts are flouted. That he can respond to. And it is not enough for Mr. Mpofu to call it minutiae. There are a series of questions of what we consider flouting of prescripts in his presence that at the very least must be put, each question, to General Senona. And there is no basis for Mr. Mpofu to stop that exercise. The question will be put. What arises is how General Senona responds thereto. I was going to deal with the provisions of the Act and the fact that actually the witness is under compulsion to respond to every question put to him in the commission and answer to the satisfaction of the commissioners, at the risk of inviting consequences to him. I will add that the Act specifically protects a witness from answering where he invokes legal privilege. And I submit that in the absence of legal privilege, then the witness must answer.
Self-incrimination.
Yes, I'm getting to self-incrimination. And the self-incrimination is to every question, then the witness must go on record and invoke the privilege not to self-incriminate. What Mr. Mpofu wants to achieve is that certain questions not be put at all because they may self-incriminate, but we don't know which questions will the answers to which will self-incriminate, which will not. He must be patient enough for the commission to go through the questions, and the witness will respond accordingly. We have had a case where a witness, I think, spent almost the entire half a morning refusing to answer on the basis of potential self-incrimination. And that went on record, and that was accepted. And if that is how the system works, then General Senona must go through the same process. Now, it cannot...
The context, though, was different there because
Indeed.
It related to criminal proceedings or a criminal process. Here, I've not heard that.
Indeed.
Which is why I was engaging at the level outside of a criminal process. What would the legal basis be? So now you are bringing the general into the fold of a criminal process, which I do not think he has claimed.
I'm not doing so, Chair. I am raising the issue of privilege, which is his protection in terms of the Act. And that he cannot be expected to self-incriminate is one of the privileges accorded him by law. So that one is in the bag. Now, what is being raised does not fall within the confines of the privilege as contemplated by the Act, which is that he may face potential disciplinary proceedings on the basis of answers he gives. That is a different debate, whether or not that complies with his compulsion to answer every question satisfactorily. But that's a different debate we can have. The issue I was raising and I was taking issue with mainly is that the questions should not even be posed and to offer the witness an opportunity to engage and deal and respond thereto. And that is what I'm objecting to. Mr. Mpofu cannot appear or attempt to appear to gag the evidence leaders and the commissioners. Because it's a fact-finding inquiry, the questions will be posed, answers will be provided, at the conclusion of which the commissioners will reach certain their own determinations.
Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, Sello, can I read for both of you Regulation 8, Sub 1 of this Commission's regulations? The heading is persons appearing before the Commission. And then Sub-Reg 1 says, no person appearing before the Commission may refuse to answer any question on any grounds other than those contemplated in Section 3, Sub 4 of the Commissions Act.
Ash.
I confirm, Commissioner, a reading of Section 3 of the Act is the section that introduces legal privilege.
Chair.
Yes,
Can I
Mpofu.
just assist, really? Because I
Thank
don't know
you.
why.
Thank you, Mr.
Oh,
Hilda.
sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Chair, really, this thing is going out of control. This is a simple intervention. I don't know about gagging or stopping questions or whatever. Where that happened is not in my imagination. There's no question that we're gagging. All I said to provoke all of this past hour is I want to put into perspective the reasons why he is uncomfortable with answering certain questions, which I had understood and I accepted Commissioner Baloi's summation of that. That look, we're not going to put a gun in your head if you're uncomfortable, but there might be, when the evidence is being assessed, there might be consequences. That's what happens with every witness. That I accept. I don't know about the gagging and all this story, this drama. But the issue, Chair, I can maybe curtail this if without even an adjournment. Can I just approach the General and I'll come back and curtail this whole thing?
Let us, sorry, Mr. We'll take a 5-minute, in the meantime, let's adjourn.
Voicing here. Or as it now turns out, neither is it confined to the issues of disciplinary self-incrimination, for lack of a better word. But having said that, I want to make the offer, maybe Advocate Sello will accept it, that he will answer her questions so that she doesn't think that she's being gagged, but he will, when he feels the necessity, qualify them to that extent.
Thank you, Mr. Mpofu. Yes, Ms.
I note what Mr. Mpofu says, but it's not my decision to make. What comes to mind is if his response, the witness's response to my question does not bring him within the purview of Section 3(4), invoking the correct legal privilege, then I guess it will be for the commissioners to deal with that response. It will be a failure to respond.
I think let's test it as we go along.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
General, then getting back to the question we were dealing with, you recall we were dealing with your knowledge, which you confirmed, that movement of exhibits between police station and entry into the appropriate SAP 13 police property register transferred to another relevant unit, as per paragraph 12, sub 2, sub A, must always be reflected in an SAP 13. We established that you know that fact, even if it's not necessarily from this particular national instruction. And my question to you was, you permitted non-compliance with that requirement while you were present at Port Shepstone. Do you confirm that? No, I'll paraphrase. Permitted might be too strong a word. You failed to take steps to ensure compliance with the prescripts, as the non-compliance was happening in your presence.
Thanks, Commissioners. I said I didn't take steps. That's my response, Commissioners.
And you didn't take the steps notwithstanding your knowledge, just for clarity, of the requirement.
I believe I've responded that I didn't take steps. It was a mistake that I've done, Commissioners.
I just wanted to correct that when you responded to me, you said you accept that you didn't take steps. It may have been a mistake on your part.
Correct, Commissioner.
Now, earlier you recall you wanted to deal with the collection of the key from you. We know, and you have testified before, that after they were locked into the safe at the Port Shepstone offices, you took charge of the keys to the safe. They were with you and you kept them at your safe in your office. Am I correct?
Correct, Commissioner.
And at some point you wanted to refer to the times that the keys were collected from you on the 23rd and on the 24th of June, 2021.
Correct, Commissioner.
Okay, now I want to call up your diary in that regard, and then you may make your comment and then I'll pose my questions. You recall that I stopped you and I say you are running ahead of time. I was still admitting the exhibits into the Port Shepstone office's vault or safe, and that these events arise thereafter. So we are at that juncture now, and I'm putting up copies of your entries, your diary entries. That's for the 24th. They should be true to my recollection. So, as you see here, that's the 23rd of June. You confirm that is a copy of your diary entries.
I confirm, Commissioner.
Then the next one will be the 24th of June.
I confirm, Commissioner.
Then I'll allow you to make the point you wanted to make regarding these entries.
In that when the keys were taken by the investigating officer of the seat of the bust, when he wanted to go and do his investigations at Port Shepstone, he came, I let him sign here, because you shall recall, Commissioners, that I've indicated that that document of handing over of the keys, I didn't know about it. But what steps have I taken to ensure the chain of
Custody.
what is it?
Custody. Chain of custody, is that what you want?
The chain of custody. That is why I dealt with it in this fashion, so that tomorrow I must be able to account that from this period to this period, the keys was with the investigating officer. And I must say that there was no suspicion of any wrongdoing that I've picked up against the investigating officer at that stage. I trusted that he was going to do the due diligence, and indeed, before we reported off duty, brought the keys back to the office, then I will lock them in my office. Thanks, Commissioners.
And if I look, for instance, at 23, on both days they were taken in the morning and returned somewhere early afternoon, and both of you signed for them.
Correct, Commissioners.
The DPCI Port Shepstone officers, do they have a record of what exactly transpired? Is there anywhere where Warrant Officer Mpangase records in the presence of the person who has taken responsibility for the exhibits what he did with the exhibits? Is there any document we can refer to?
Commissioners, I don't have any document, because what transpired after the theft, the Caesar inquiry investigation, as well as the case docket of the theft, that I have indicated that the detectives must investigate, and head office changed the decision and said the head office, the PCI, must do the investigation, were taken away from our offices. So I do not have any document at this stage. But what I know, he never went alone to do those investigations. And again, I think Colonel Prinsloo should have been or was informed about their visit at the facility.
Yes, maybe my question was not as clear as perhaps I had hoped for it to be. I'm asking more about process generally. The exhibits are locked up, and at this stage they are unaccounted for, we know, because they haven't been sealed properly and registered in the SAP 13. I was wondering whether, if anyone visits the safe, whether there's a requirement that they must complete it or make an OB entry that is countersigned by the person who has taken responsibility for the safety of the safekeeping of the drugs. Is there such a requirement at all, or perhaps not?
I'm not aware of such, Commissioners.
I ask this because in truth, as you sit there, you do not know what actually transpired when the safe was opened on both the 23rd and the 24th. Whatever you know is what was relayed to you by the person to whom you gave the keys. You have got no other independent, objective means of verifying what exactly went down on the 23rd and the 24th when you had parted company with the keys. Would that be correct?
I won't know what happened to the Commissioners. It's true.
So, to the extent that it may be that 541 kilograms were seized at the harbor, and it's unknown how many were stolen because of the risk. I'm not saying it happened, the risk that in the absence of records, there might have been pilfering of those drugs each time the keys were handed over to somebody else, and you were not present during the opening of the safe. Are you willing to accept the possibility, not that it happened?
Commissioners, I don't know if Warrant Officer Mpangase had an element of corruption. What I can tell the Commissioners is that all I recall, all I can remember is that when he went there was a person of that office present there. That's what I was informed. He never went there alone to go and open the safe. He was not alone. But when he came to sign for the keys in my office, he just came alone. But I know that there were people waiting for him. They were driving in a car at the ground floor. But he came up alone, and then I let him sign. But what transpired there, Commissioners, I can't talk about it because I was not there.
It may be perhaps a shortcoming on our part. We don't have a record of who at Port Shepstone would have been present with him while he is handling the drugs on the 23rd and the 24th. We don't have that. Would you have a name, perhaps?
I believe the best person to can respond to that question is Lieutenant Colonel Prinsloo, the retired.
Okay.
I'm unable to.
Okay. So it is with his version we'll have to go for the moment. We will try and inquire and establish what actually transpired. Now, you did indicate in your first statement in paragraph 93 that, and in fact in this statement as well, that the visits were to seal the drugs, enter them into the SAP 13, and to obtain samples for FSL. Do you recall that response you gave?
I recall that is what I was informed.
Yes. Now, again, it doesn't have to detain us. Do you perhaps know how FSL obtains samples of such exhibits? Would you know what the prescripts provide?
I don't know.
You don't know.
Maybe just to correct where you say we don't know who assisted them, Warrant of Mpangase, when he went to Port Shepstone, Colonel Prinsloo tells us that on the 23rd and the 24th, they were assisted by Warrant Officer van den Berg. So we do have a name.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I will check, and I do note the correction, I take it, but I understood Warrant Officer van den Berg helped with the sealing and numbering of the seals on the day. That is the extent of the responsibility assumed for those drugs. There are statements here where he states the challenges that the team that came from Durban was having with correctly recording these blocks of cocaine and sealing them and marking the seals appropriately, and that's where he assisted.